After the disaster that was my first track outing, I realized I had a long road ahead. How was I going to accomplish anything if I could barely finish one lap around a track? If I wanted to run a mile, I needed 3 more laps. How was I going to manage that? The answer is simple. Slowly. Think baby steps.
Baby steps?
Let's go back to setting a reasonable goal. 1 mile was a bit out of reach, so I needed to adjust that to be something a bit more attainable.
Baby steps.
Does anybody remember the formula for speed from physics? V equals d over t. Velocity equals distance over time. I decided instead of adjusting distance, why not adjust the time component? So the new goal was simple. Run 5 minutes, rest, and repeat until I hit a point where I was too tired.
Yeah!
I would let my body rest the next day, and then I would try again. I decided the best way to accomplish this was with a treadmill. Now let me take a few minutes to talk about why I made that decision and why someone might want to use a treadmill. When you first start running, you may not fully know yourself. Think about how often you need to drink water, or how much you're going to sweat, or if you need to go to the bathroom, or even just how far you can go before you run out of gas. On a treadmill, you can have access to all these things as needed. I highly recommend that if you're first getting started, use a treadmill and try to get the feel for the needs that you might have once you start running outside.
Nobody here!
You don't want to be at the track hunting for a porta potty or a bush, and you definitely don't want to exhaust yourself when you're 3 miles away from your car. I didn't have a fancy GPS tracker. At the time, I recall they were a fairly new concept, so I didn't have an easy way to track my mileage aside from using a track. I didn't want to carry a stopwatch with me, but a treadmill has a timer on the console, so that made stopping and starting a cinch, and tracking my cumulative mileage was simple as glancing at the readout. I found that being a bit on the heavy side, running outside on the pavement was hard on my joints, but a treadmill offered a bit of a softer surface that was much gentler. For those of you who might be overweight, the treadmill might just offer you the ability to run a little bit longer so you can start building up your endurance. If you find that you're a bit injury prone or just a general klutz, or if you have a condition in which running might be more dangerous than usual, a treadmill has lots of safety features for emergencies. Since you're stationary and inside a building, you won't have to try to describe to 911 which tree you're calling from. If you live in a climate where the weather can get a bit extreme, I think you should at least have access to a treadmill. When temperatures get a little cold or too hot, maybe you get some violent storms, it might be a better idea to run inside. There are times where, no matter how good a runner you are or how tough you are, running outside will earn you a visit from the Common Sense Fairy. For some of you who feel like running outside is unsafe, running on the treadmill is also a great alternative. If you're afraid someone's going to attack you, running at home you can have as much security as you want. And running on a gym treadmill with a bunch of other people can be a great deterrent. It also tends to be a bit more unlikely that you're going to get hit by a car. Now, I didn't feel particularly concerned about my own safety, but I was super self-conscious about how I looked, and I didn't want to embarrass myself in public. I thought running on the treadmill maybe was a great way to hide. To those of you who feel this way, I want to speak to you directly. Stop caring about what other people think of you. Do not let that scare you into hiding yourself, because hiding leads to quitting. So to bring this in for a landing, you might want to consider treadmill running if you need to stop and start a lot, you need access to equipment, you need bathroom breaks, you don't have access to time and distance tracking yet, you need something low impact to be easier on your joints, you're worried about safety, or you need escape from the weather. Never forget your why, and remember that every body is different. You're doing this to work on yours. Whatever your goal may be, keep working toward it. And tomorrow, you'll be a better you than you are today.